Hey folks, I'm Dave. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to make a spider web shelf, and we're going to create our spider web from scratch. So we're going to start by grabbing a square, and we're just going to drag out a rectangle and drop it. Click your selector tool. Leave your rectangle large enough that we can go over to the shape properties tab and radius off the corners to about 4. There. Okay, so you do that so the radius on the corner will be large enough that it will allow you to round it off. I know early on I didn't understand what was going on, but over time you learn. Alright, so now we can make this smaller, and we're going to have a length of about 304 millimeters, and that is somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 inches. And we're going to do a height of 12 millimeters, and that'll be close to a ½ inch. Not quite, but close. Alright, now remember, you can scroll in and out with your mouse. You can push down and move the entire canvas around. Alright, so to save us some measuring on the smaller pieces, we can just select Control D to duplicate. Use the comma key or the period key to move it. Comma moves counterclockwise, period moves clockwise. We know it's centered now, so we can just pull this down and just we'll know we've got about 6 inches on this piece here. Okay, so we want a 45. We're going to put a piece here and put a piece here. We want a good 45-degree angle to do that with. So we're going to grab the pencil tool. We're going to start here in the center. Left click with your mouse, hold your shift key down, release your mouse, and then just pull out a perfect line on a 45-degree angle. When you get there, left click, right click, and then release shift. You're actually supposed to be able to release with just a right click, but a lot of times that does not work for me, so I always say left click, right click. So you do whatever works for you. Alright, so now we're going to select this one. We're going to Control D to duplicate. We'll just move it out a little bit. And then we're going to grab it and turn it, hopefully in line with that line we have. Set it about center. You can play with it a little more. This video is going to take a little while, folks, but I think you'll be glad you stuck around for it. Alright, so that one's on a 45. Pretty close anyway. So we can delete our line. And now we can select this piece, Control D to duplicate. And then we can Shift Control H to do a horizontal flip. Then we can use the left arrow key to pull it over and get it into position. And that looks pretty good. Then we can select everything, go over to the modification tools to weld, and just click weld. Alright, that looks a little weird right there. I'm going to back up, Control Z. I know what it wants me to do. Select it, bump it over one more time, then select everything, and then weld. And that feels so much better now. Okay, so we want to put some webs in here. And there's several ways you could do it. You could draw a rectangle and then bend it with the warp tool or the deform tool. But we are going to take a circle. We're going to grab a circle. We're going to hold shift. Just draw out a perfect circle. Release your mouse. Click the selector tool. Then we're going to go to arrange and down to break apart. And of course that gives us 4 equal parts. But we only need 1. So we're going to pull 1 down. We're going to grab these others and move them out of the way just in case we need them later. I don't think we will. Alright, so we are going to get this kind of lined up here. We're going to stretch it out a little bit. And just keep working with it, folks, until you get it right there toward that bottom like that. Then we want to go to the offset tool. And we're going to make this an outward, round, and 6 millimeters. And that gives us 6 millimeters on each side of the line. Click OK. And then you can pull your original out. Now as we duplicate this to go up, we're going to do 2 more. It will get a little thinner, but that's okay. And if you want them larger, then of course you can make them as large as you like. Control D to get a duplicate and just move it up and get it to where, right about there. And let this top piece just ride, and then get to the corner and resize and make it touch. And there you go. Then we're going to Control D again. We're going to move another one out. Put it somewhere up toward the top like that. And then we'll grab this corner, resize it, and you can see that they got a little smaller, which makes sense since it's a smaller area. Now you can select each one of these one at a time to group them together, which is what we want to do. But I'm going to try to just drag through. If you can drag through without touching anything but those, then you can do that, and then you can go up top and group them together. Because if you drag from the right, you get a green line, and all you have to do is touch the object. If we were doing it from the left and get a red line, you'd have to completely surround the object. Okay, so before we weld these in, we're just going to select them. We're going to Control D to duplicate. Then we're going to Shift Control H to do a horizontal flip. And then we're just going to move them over with the right arrow key and get them hopefully close or exactly where we need them, which is what we've done. All right, so now we can select it. We want to Control D again. And then we want to Control Shift H. And this one is not going to go exactly, but we're going to get it as close as we can. Then we're going to grab this bottom corner and flip it around, and we're just going to work with it until we get it setting in just the right spot, or a spot that you can live with. Sometimes you just have to go with that. All right, and that looks pretty good. Might need to turn it a little bit more. You just get it to your own taste, folks, and I think that's okay. So now we should be able to Control D to duplicate, Control Shift H to horizontally flip, right arrow key, and with any luck, it'll hit exactly where it needs to go. And I am happy with that. You can save yourself a lot of time by using those hotkeys. Now we can select everything, and we can click Weld. If for some reason you put this bottom one in first, and then you try to put these 2 smaller pieces in, you would have to use Union instead of Weld. But I think we're okay. It looks a little wonky right there in the center for some reason. I guess this piece came over, but that's okay. We know spider webs are not perfect. Okay, we can get rid of these pieces. We don't need them anymore. And now, I want to check this. It's kind of sized up. by virtue of the length of this top piece, but if you wanted to check to be sure it was as tall as you wanted it to be, you can click your ruler, and then you can just drag. You can left click here, drag down, and see if you got close to the 6 inches you wanted, and we did. So we're good. Okay, so now we want to do a top, and the top we're just going to grab a square, just drag out a rectangle and drop it. Click your selector tool. Let's go over to the shape properties and just round that corner off a little bit to 4. And if I didn't say it before, if you don't have the shape properties tab, go up to window, down to shape properties, and just make sure it's checked, and you will be fine. All right, so the top is going to be 152 by 304. So 304 by 152, and that gives us, again, somewhere between around 6 by 12 inches. And we're going to put a little brace here to hold it. So to do that, we're going to grab a square. This time we're going to hold shift and draw out a perfect square and drop it. And we are going to make that square. We're going to turn this lock on here. And then we're going to make it 76 millimeters. And that is about 3 inches. And we want a 45, and there's a lot of ways to do this too, but here's how we're going to do it. We're going to grab a square. We're just going to draw out a rectangle, drop it, click the selector tool, turn this, and then we're going to set it corner to corner. And we're going to subtract. You can select everything and just go over here and hit subtract, and it'll take it away. Or you could go up to tools and down to Boolean Assistant and do it there. All right, so now we have our brace. And what we will do, we're just going to set this up here because we want to make sure that our tab on the web and the slot on the web and the tab on the brace match up. So we're just going to grab the brace, we're going to hold Alt, and we're just going to snap it to the top right there. On the top of the brace, we're not going to put a tab. We're just going to let the shelf kind of rest on top of it. All right, so let's grab trying to keep that close but not too close. So let's grab a square. We'll just draw out a slot right here or a tab. Click the selector tool. Make sure your lock is off, and we'll just make it a width of 20 and a height of 5. We're using 5mm Luan plywood. And then for the slot, we'll adjust a little bit for the kerf. So select, use the period key to rotate clockwise. You can use the arrow keys to move it into place, but what we really want to do is get on the edge, grab with your mouse, hold the Alt key, and just snap it to our brace like that. And then we will get to a place that you can clearly see the brace since we've got it laying on top of the other stuff. And then you can, with your tab selected, shift, select your brace, and then you can go to horizontal center and move that to where it needs to be. Then you can click away, and you can Control D to duplicate and move a tab out, which will become the slot for the center. Then you can reselect, You can, sometimes you'll have a slight crack that shouldn't be between the tab and the piece, and you can always pull in. But if you're comfortable that you're in the right spot, just select, shift, select your, don't grab everything, just grab your brace. And then you can hit weld. And there we go. So that is done. And we want to make sure this slot gets in the right place. So we're going to select just our brace and right arrow over a little bit. Then we'll grab our slot. We're just going to move it somewhere in the center right here on this center piece. And we are going to reduce it from 5 to 4.7. I'm using a 40-watt laser, and it's probably a little dirty, so I clean it a couple times a week, but I use it a lot. So 4.7 should give it a tight fit. Once you get it into place, you can you want to make sure that you group it in with the rest of your spider web, but then you can get on your brace and move it over and make sure it's going to line up. And it appears to be off a hair. So you want to Control Z and back up and make sure you can move this. Yep. Then move your brace back over and work with it and make sure you get it exactly where it needs to be. And you can scroll in close, hold Alt, click on the tab. Well, click on the tab, or the slot, not the tab. I don't know what's happening. There we go. Okay. And move it up so where it, sorry for that, folks. Sometimes it's just that way. And then you can make sure you're in the right spot. Move your brace back out of the way. This laser stuff gets tedious sometimes. Okay, so now we have a slot and a tab, and we're good. So we're going to just grab our brace and move it out of the way. And we're going to get another slot because I didn't save one of those. And here again, we're going to make it 20 by 5. It's good to set one aside. I say it all the time, but I don't always do what I say. And then we're going to not measure here. We're going to duplicate. And then you want to move it out. And these two we're going to line up with the spider web, and they will become our tabs. So we're just going to move them down, get them close as we can. And then you can grab the edge, hold the Alt key, and they will snap right into place. Then we can Shift, select, and go to vertical center. No, we can't because I didn't group them together. Back them up. Grab both of these, group, Shift, select, and then go to vertical center. Okay. We're good. I make so many mistakes, folks. All right, now we are going to duplicate, Control D, use the up arrow to move these out, and we're going to do the same thing sort of here. We're going to grab it and we're going to line it up on the inside, and you can use that Alt key. And then we're also going to shift, select, and use this vertical center. Okay, so those should be perfect to go in, but what we've got to do is ungroup the two tabs, and we've got to set them to be 4.7 to adjust for the curve. All right, now we will group them back together. Okay, now we can select our shelf, shift and select our slots, go over to the modification tools and click subtract, which you could also do in tools and Boolean assistant. Then we'll select the shift with the tabs, the backdrop, and click weld. Okay, that takes care of that. And let's make sure the shelf is going to line up on top exactly where it's supposed to. Just select it and pull it down, and it looks like we're good. Okay, folks, I believe, let me check these cuts. I believe we're ready to jump in the laser and cut this out. So give me a few minutes and I'll be right back. All right, folks, we are framed up and ready to go. And I believe I mentioned that this is 5mm Luan hardwood plywood. I got it from a big box store that's local, and I'll drop a link in the description so you can pick some up if you like. It is a really nice hobby wood. So let's send this code over, cut this out, see what it looks like. Okay, let me get this together and let the smoke clear, and we'll get a closer look at it. Okay, folks, here's our shelf. It looks pretty good, but I don't like that top shelf being 6 inches. So I'm going to cut this again with a 4-inch shelf. I need 2 of them anyway. So I'm going to cut it 4 inches and see how that turns out. All right, folks, let's send the code over and see what it looks like with a 4-inch shelf. Alright, so let me put this one together with the 4-inch shelf, and since I have 2 of them now, we'll put them side by side and see what they look like. I'll be right back, folks. Okay, well, here's both pieces with the 4-inch shelf. I think that's more functional than the 6, but you can decide which one works for you. If you give this a try and you have questions, just drop them in the comments and I'll get you an answer. And don't forget to save your spiderweb vector in your art library, so you can use it over and over without having to remake it. And if you don't have an art library, I will drop a link in the description so you can go out and make one. And if you have questions about anything I've got posted or any general laser or Lightburn questions, just drop those in the comments and I'll do my best to get you an answer. I really appreciate the comments and the questions. It helps me as a newbie and it helps all the viewers that come across it. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe. It'll help this little channel grow a little bit. I'd really appreciate it. So just check back often for new videos. You folks take care, and we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.